Hi, I'm Fiona from FMD Architects. Today I'm going to show you the split house. So I'll share my screen. All right. So this house is really a sequence of spaces that are split, rearranged and reconnected to create a cohesive architectural response within a heritage context. So the site is in North Fitzroy with an existing heritage building at the front and a north-facing backyard. So the original house we've reworked externally and internally, relined, re-insulated, the full shebang. And then this is the black is the new extension that you can see. There's a really lovely established garden at the back too that we needed to work around. So a lot of these trees we wanted to keep. So we wanted to ensure that the house really didn't increase its footprint significantly. So here's the front of the house, which was originally 4 rooms, which we had then sort of shrunk the size of those bedrooms just slightly so that we could fit in the 2 bedrooms for the girls, the main bedroom with an ensuite walk-in robe and a front lounge room / 4th bedroom, and then a separate bathroom and a separate laundry. And then our new extension on the rear is containing the north-facing lounge, dining, kitchen areas. And then also down the back, we did a new studio for Tessa. Rhian and Tessa both work from home extensively. So we built her own separate studio at the back and also a bike store. So the brief expressed a desire for the north-facing living areas to accommodate their family and friends, but create sort of distinctions between the living and dining areas, which would facilitate the family to connect and also to separate where they needed to as well. So it was really the spatial qualities of the existing cottage that drove the design to develop a narrative around inverted and split volumes, which established a pattern language and sort of balanced visual cohesion between the old and the new. The new addition follows the line of the existing roof, as you can see here, but at the ridge, the apex is incised to draw in northern light to the southern end of the house. So this is this sort of big cut that we've sliced through. The lowered roof line below reinforces the line of the existing double-loaded corridor, which you can see in this image here. So here's the double-loaded corridor. So we've sort of extended that into the new part of the house, and it allows the living spaces to be split into 2 zones, the kitchen and the dining to the east and the lounge to the west. And that rake roof line, which is expressed internally in both spaces, is also expressed on the outside as well as 2 distinct spaces. And we consciously made them different from each other in terms of their elevation as well. So here's the north-facing window at the end of the corridor which allows that north light deep into the southern end of the house. But the other thing that the client wanted was some eastern light in the western spaces. So to do that, this cut in the roof line allowed us to create new high-level windows that would also allow for eastern light, so morning light in the lounge and the main bedroom. So here you can see the sunken lounge area with this east-facing window, which is really, really beautiful. And it acts almost like a sundial, as Rhian says, where it moves across the space. You see that triangle sort of move across the space over the course of the day. And in the main bedroom as well, which is sort of in the southern end of the house, we can capture that beautiful morning light through that high-level window. And the split concept is reinforced through the subtle interior gestures as well. Each element connects or sort of articulates connection and individuality. So in the kitchen, for instance, we had 4 elements reflecting 4 individuals in the house. So we had the mirrored cupboard, the orange leg, the terrazzo bench top, and the overhead cupboard. So those sort of 4 distinct elements. You can see here, Tessa, our client, was heavily involved in the selection of colours for this. So I think the leg is Tessa. And in the en-suites and bathrooms too, the cabinets there are also split into individual elements so that everyone can have their own sort of separate piece of storage. Here's in the girls' or the main bathroom. And again here, even the grout colours, the girls were quite involved in the selection of the grout colours, and got this beautiful sort of soft green grout, which creates a really sort of unique response to the interior. And here you can see that that sort of beautiful light that moves, that triangle of light that moves over the space over the day. And even the colour of the lounge, the sort of two colours splitting that lounge is, I think, a nice touch that Tessa did actually, which is fantastic. And this sunken lounge sort of is where they can all really come together. And the other beauty of it is that it has this lovely connection, sort of lowered visual connection to the garden, which is out here. And you can see this planter bed which is now all planted, which is lovely. So you get this beautiful green aspect right at the window line. Other sort of moments of connection and separation are in the girls' bedrooms with this lovely banquette seat, which divides and connects the two spaces. So that can be closed off or open as need be, and most of the time it is open. The girls still love being together and get on beautifully. And their other spaces, this front lounge, they're very crafty, musical girls. So that's where they play their music, they sew, they make things, play board games, all that stuff happens in that space. So it's quite a hardworking, sort of messy space. And this cohesion between the old and new is really created through the continuous roof line. But there's also distinction between the two elements, which is reinforced through colour and pattern of the cladding. So on the existing house, the cladding is all horizontal. On the new element, it is vertical. On the existing, we've used a saturated red paint, and on the new, it's all black charred timber. So there's a clear definition between the old and the new. But from the streetscape, the south elevation, none of that is obvious at all. And this Manor Red, which is actually sort of a heritage, sort of an official heritage colour, heritage control colour, is something that you see throughout the street, and our direct neighbours surrounding us use this colour. That most of those houses are red brick, but they use the Manor Red as the trim. In our case, we took a more contemporary approach and really just flooded the house with colour blocking it in Manor Red, which I think looks pretty sensational. So in the back, you can see that distinction now with the charred timber cladding. So the timber is actually sort of been flamed and or burnt really on the outside, which once it's oiled is zero maintenance. Basically, it's a very traditional old Japanese method of preserving the timber, which is becoming quite popular here too. So it's done with an Australian timber though, a spotted gum in this instance. And here you can see how it's sort of the pitch of the roofline is completely masked from the street, but giving us a completely different contemporary perspective on the rear of the house. And this dark palette is reinforced through the black steel canopies and the black oiled windows as well, and the black oiled deck. And access to natural light was key, obviously, but to control that light, we use these steel canopies, which are highly engineered to calculate the light quite exactly, so that in winter, the sun can pass through under those canopies, but in winter, they provide the perfect shading so that the light is blocked and does not enter the space or heat up the interior. And another important thing you can see here is this sort of angled deck, which pitches away from the original beautiful olive trees and planting on the site. So we really wanted to preserve those elements and control those. But it's a very important part of the house. When I first went to measure up at the house, everyone was outside. The girls were sitting on the deck reading and listening to music and Rian and Tessa were in the garden, gardening away. So could really see how important the connection to the garden and the deck was to the way they live. And it's being used really well. And you can see that planter box here, that's pitched on an angle, so you can actually put cushions against it, and it acts as like a backrest as well. And then we also have these elements that we've reused from and upcycled in the house, like a memory of the old home sort of finding a new life in the project. The old fireplace got recycled into the new living space. And here you can see in the walk-in robe this beautiful old robe, which is actually Tessa's grandmother's robe, which we've recycled and sort of carefully incorporated into the robe area, which I really love. It gives a real richness to that space, which I think is fantastic. So the execution of the split across the varied program elements gives the project a distinct sense of identity and originality. The pragmatic needs and the abstract reinterpretation of the old to the new initiates a new dialogue between the past and the present, and redefines the heritage within a modern urban context. So I think it's a lovely balance of poetry and pragmatism, and heritage and modern. So I hope you enjoyed it, and feel free to contact me with any questions that you might have. Thank you.